today?
Relieved. We'd found a way to lose a lot of those close games. So to find a way to win one where we didn't play well early, we had to really take their best shot and then claw our way back in the game. And then hold out in the end and execute some things, offensively, defensively, press offense, all that stuff you practice. It's good to see it work when we need it.
In those close situations, do you still run the offense like you do throughout the entire game, or do you say, hey, Doug, you need to take over?
Well, it depends. It depends on the situation. We went small there for a long period of time because that's what Evansville did, and we decided to go small with them. And Doug and Ethan were able to do a good job guarding their guards and chasing their guards, something that they're not real familiar with. But allowed us to spread the floor and get Doug isolated at the post. It's a little harder to get Doug isolated when Gregory or Will is running around out there in the perimeter, setting ball screens, or is on the other block. So, being able to get Doug involved in that game in the second half is really important for us.
Talk about Doug's milestone yesterday, 2,000 points. That's, for a junior, that's amazing.
It's incredible, and it's probably hasn't totally sunk in yet. In terms of him being my son, but for our program and being his coach, it hasn't happened very often in the Valley. It's only happened a couple times for someone to do it in 3 years. So, obviously Doug has a lot to be proud of. He's played with some great guys. Really understand what he's good at and the different ways that he can score the basketball. And they've been willing passers to get him the basketball in places that he can be successful.
Greg, when you down double digits, like 31-15 or 31-16, one of those, that's gut check time. I mean, Doug talked about guys saying this is either put up or that was kind of a turning point, wouldn't you say?
Well, we were down 14-3, and then we got it back to 16-50, and then we were down 31-15, I believe, and they were on the free throw line after Gregory's floated one foul. Unfortunately, they missed both, and then we got to stop. And we're able to claw back in. But if you're going to get back in a game like that, you've got to put together some stops. And I think we stopped it 9 times in a row during that stretch, and got ourselves back within striking distance at halftime, which really was the game. The last 6 or 7 minutes of that first half was where the game turned, and it got us a little bit of momentum, got a little bit more of a bounce in our step.
And I know that the stuff you think about all the time, the decision not to foul at the end of the game, being up 3. You think about that, your theory, and I know that there's two sides of that coin, right?
Well, there was actually just some research that Ken Pomeroy just did recently that I've agreed with all the time. You can't judge the national three-point average in that situation because you don't have to guard the basket. And you're going to switch every screen. And his research over the last 5 years is that three-point shots are made at 16% in that situation when the team doesn't foul and we're switching all the screens. And I like those odds, especially when we don't have a timeout left. So let's say we foul with 5 seconds and Evansville chooses to make both free throws, and then we've got to get it in against their press without a timeout. So I think there's a lot of things that factor into that decision, and without a timeout, the decision not to foul was an easy one.
Talk about this week, Southern Illinois to start off, and then you got St. Mary's. Just how big a week is this week?
Well, every game's big right now. We don't have many left, and we're counting down to the end before the Valley tournament. Southern Illinois played their best basketball the last 2 weeks. They won 3 out of 4 games. Their only loss being the last second loss at Indiana State, right after Indiana State put a hurting on us. So Coach Henson's got them playing their best basketball this time of the year. And Early did not play the first game when we played out in Carbondale. He'll be back for our game Tuesday night. Very active, very athletic. They're going to try to drive it at us, and we're going to have to be ready for that challenge. And then St. Mary's is playing great basketball. Their only loss, and I think the last 11 or 12 games is to Gonzaga, who's I think is one of the top 5 teams in the country. So we're going to get their best shot. We understand that, but you want to be playing games this time of year that mean something, and certainly every game we play from here